Hi, I'm Big Bear, and welcome to my hobby cave, or, well, it's still a work in progress, but you'll get the picture. Anyway, run VT. So, since we came back into the hobby, we have had so much fun, both myself and Little Bear and the rest of the family, just picking up models, painting them, and so on and so forth. Now, everybody has that dream of having their own hobby space that they can sit away painting, and they can leave stuff without having to tidy it away. And I was lucky enough that Mummy Bear let me use a section of the conservatory where it was hidden away, so whenever you open the door, no one could see all of that. And this is what it kind of looked like here. But as time progressed, we started to get collected more, piles of grey started to pile up, and the hobby space started to take over the whole conservatory. So despite having various tidying up sessions and clearing out and donating things, it was still getting a bit out of control. And I'd always dreamed of having a bigger hobby space. Now, over the years, we've built our own Browns bar in the garden, which has been an incredible space just to disappear to. We have date night there every Friday night. Myself and Mummy Bear, we go down and we chill out in there. We then extended that into the Robin's Nest, it's called, which is where Little Bear does a lot of his gaming and his sim racing on his F1 and his Xbox. And I'd loved to have expanded into a bit more of a bigger hobby space. And over the years, I've tried to use the space that we had. We had one or two other garden sheds just down the side of the house, but they always just felt a bit disjointed, and they were always just full of various different things. A few years ago, we converted our garage into another room in the house, and so that meant that all of the stuff that was in the garage was now squashed into these two little sheds, and it just didn't make sense. It didn't work. It's a weird sort of size. It's approximately about 5 foot wide at one end, and it widens to about 10 foot at the other end. And so it's just about how we could try and use this space as best as we could. So anyway, the whole point of this is to kind of show you our process across the summer, where we were able to buy the materials and build this, what is now going to be called Hobby HQ, I suppose. So anyway, here is what I've done as my hobby build, so hope you enjoy.
So you can't start a build without destroying what's already there first. So we had to empty both of the sheds. They unfortunately went into the Robin's Nest, which meant Little Bear couldn't do any of his Xbox gaming, which he was a bit perturbed about. But Mummy Bear absolutely loved smashing to pieces all of the old sheds that we had. So these were two old sheds. They were used for storing bikes, paints, tools, you know, the usual stuff that you have in your shed. Worryingly, it was relatively light work to get all these down, and a lot of smashing and a couple of trips to the tip. But once the space was clear, that meant that we could start with the framework. Now, a huge thank you to our next door neighbour, Sean. If you're watching this, Sean, thank you for lending us your tools, because if you hadn't done, we would still be here right now building instead of making this video. We used 4x2 as what was recommended for this build. We do want it to last. Oh, quick pause here to show off Mummy Bear's raking skills and setting up that area. And so we wanted the framework to be nice and solid, and so it would last a long time to come. We want to be out here hobbying for years and years and years. So the framework is going up. We did a lot of research beforehand, and some of the tools we had, we've got a little bit of know-how. We've built a couple of different things, but we're really happy with how the framework's going up. And there's the OSB board that's going to be adding a bit of structural strength to it all as well. And yep, here's Little Bear in his usual pose, unless we got him busy with doing jobs. Now, he actually was really helpful with this, Little Bear. With the whole project, he really enjoyed it. He liked getting his hands dirty, and he likes learning a few new skills himself. So it was only fair just to make sure he had the tools so that he could get on with it as often as he could. Give that boy a hammer and he'll work all day long. Now, we covered the framework itself once the OSB was up in a waterproof membrane, and then framed that again with some smaller roof battens, and then we've clad it in, it's a bit like fence board, but it was relatively cheap from a local timber merchant, and it's framed really well. It adds a little bit of extra insulation because it's thicker. And this is going to be the shed bit. Now, again, budget's tight, so for the flooring we've just used some bags of stones that we had, and the roofing we have just used good old shed felt, and it does the job absolutely spot on. Now that the bulk of the framework's done, we can start to begin to look at inside. Now, this glass cabinet I got off FreeCycle for absolutely free, which was great, or Facebook Marketplace, one or the other. Now, the only problem being with the shed the size it is all our materials had to go in and had to come out and get stored there constantly. But it was a bit of a pain to work around, but it just meant tidying up as we went, more than anything. As you can see, it is starting to come together. If you can look through the mess, we are leaving this one wall as part of like this lean-to shed exposed, and this is what the shed bit is beginning to look like. Still got a few gaps to fill, but really happy with what's happening. And we're using some of the leftover OSB board just to try and pad out. Now, we would ideally have put some insulation in these gaps here, but unfortunately the budget was a bit tight because my car broke down, and hey, it is what it is. We can always go back to it later. We had a couple of days away, and when we came back, we decided to get back on with this outer side of it. Now, this is the bit that faces the garden. So again, the same process as what we did at the front end of the lean-to shed. We've added the waterproofing membrane, we've added our battens, and then we can go around and start adding all our boards. It's actually quite satisfying to watch this back, knowing what hard work it was to go through in the first place. Now, doors-wise, this was a bit of an unknown, but we kept the 2 shed doors from the previous sheds that were here, and we just added a framework, and to be fair, they've done a pretty good job. We're quite impressed. Now, like I said, budget's tight, so we're just using leftover OSB bits to patch it all up. It will do the job. We can always change it in the future if we need to. Again, saying that budget was tight, I was luckily given a gift voucher from my junior cricket team that I coach, and using their voucher on Amazon, I bought these 2 little units. They were £14.50 each, and I'll tell you what, they're actually really sturdy. It absolutely knacks your hands putting them together because you have to push these metal rods into the plastic bits, but they're really sturdy, and you can surprisingly fit a large amount on there. So I'm really impressed with these. The CD racks, again, just came from Facebook Marketplace. They were free. I've thought about painting them black just to match everything else, but for now, let's just get everything in. So, because, again, here we go. I had to refill the shed because we had a bit of rain and it was all being stored outside. It's just a bit of a faff more than anything, so the sooner we can get it all sorted, the better. In our conservatory hobby setup we saw earlier, you might have seen this shelf. We used it to store some models on. I previously built one for Little Bear's bedroom as well. You may, it was one of our very first videos. I think it was a short. But I've just had to make a few adjustments to it, but it fits perfect. And the same with this little paint rack. Again, this is one that we had in the conservatory hobby setup that we had before. It was a little bit too big for the space I wanted it in, so a couple of adjustments here and there we have it. Perfect, nice and level. And we've got our bits box up too. The desk we've got isn't massive. It's an old side of a wardrobe, I'll be honest with you, but it's going to be perfectly ample for what I need it for. We've rested it on a batten on one side and along the back, and then we've used this drawer unit on the side as well, so we've got plenty of storage. And it made sense to paint it black. We started off with a blackboard paint on the back wall, and I was running out of that, and I had a spare tin of cheap black spray paint from the pound shop, so we finished it off in black. To be fair, once it's dry, it all blends in pretty nicely. We had a little bit of furniture paint left from an old unit that we've done once before, so I gave this wardrobe top another coat of paint as well, just to seal it a bit better and finish it off. I mean, it's going to be covered in paint before you know it anyway, but hey ho. And now's the exciting part. Now's the bit where we get to sort and organise all those boxes of all those models and various different things that have been in storage for the last couple of months, and we can start to pull them all out. This is the nice therapeutic bit. I'll leave you to this bit to watch. And here's the tour you've all been waiting for. Yes, it's not finished, but this is where we're up to right here, right now, at Brown Bear Hobby HQ. A hobby space isn't complete without the Chuckle Brothers and Bret Hart, is it? I do need to get a divide for in between the shed and the hobby space, but that's a job for another day.
So what do you think? We think this is an awesome space for our hobby, and we can actually get things away and we can put things out, leave them out. Little tiny fingers from little baby bear is where he's not going to be picking up models, and to be fair, he's really good, but the temptation's always there. So it's just a space that we can have of our own. Is it perfect? No. Various different things have kind of put a stop to that. Car breaking down before the summer when we were just about to go with the project, so that put a few things on the back burner. And then just the cost of materials compared to had we done this a few years ago is just skyrocketed. But we have the framework built, the hobby space is there, we can use it. Just with a little electric heater, it heats the space nicely. And so far, end of September, we're doing good. What it'll be like in the midst of winter is still to be confirmed. But we can always come back to it. We can add insulation at a later date, and we've got that flexibility to do it. It might be a pain, yes, because we'd have to tidy up everything, but we can still do it if we want to. Anyway, this is awesome. Having a space here dedicated just to doing the hobby. Like I said, I'd love to be able to do some live streams from here at some point. I'd love to be able to start getting more regular videos out now that we've got the space. And yeah, thank you, Mummy Bear. I think that's what we should be saying. Anyway, I've been Big Bear. Happy gaming.